Hello and welcome to the Daily Mill for Sunday the 11th of May 2025. No video yesterday, because there wasn't any news. This may be a regular occurrence this summer, so get ready for that. But we do have a little morsel, a little nibble of news that I managed to find somewhere, and here we go. Yes, indeed. I'm bringing you news from EFLAnalysis.com. This is the depths that I've sunk to. But what else can I do? So yeah, this is it's another clickbaity website. Clickbait vultures. Doing a bit of Sunday transfer deals. They've, the mystery man, step up, hashtag. What's going on here then? So, it's another one of those. They've got a whole list of football teams and they add Mill's name to it because they know it's going to get clicks. Bristol City, Millwall, Portsmouth, chasing exciting non-league talent. Tottenham Hotspur, also keen. Interesting. Why is it like that? Why has it got 3 teams? And then what's happening? And then they've seemed to have tacked Tottenham Hotspur on at the end. Did they do the story originally with the 3 teams and it wasn't picking up any traction? So they then added Tottenham Hotspur's name after it. They re-edited it. I don't know. I don't know. But let's read this nonsense. Ahead of the transfer window opening and the chaos that brings, EFL Analysis has exclusive information. Exclusive information regarding one move that could fly under the radar as a non-league star prepares to climb the football ladder. Most of the clubs from the Championship, League 1 and League 2 already know their fate ahead of the 25-26 campaign, with only the playoffs in each division left to thrash out. It figures then that most of those teams are getting to work on preparing for the transfer business they want to conduct over the summer. While some of the best players in the Championship are likely to secure big moves to the Premier League over the next few months, we can also expect one of the top talents in non-league football to attract a lot of attention too. Jack Taylor being tracked by clubs from top to bottom, with inside information from our resident transfer expert Graham Bailey. So their exclusive information is they've spoken to their own panelist, Graham Bailey, and he's told them this, but they don't even have a quote there. They don't have quotes there. So they just put his name on it, but they don't have any quotes from him. So we can reveal that there are teams from Premier League giants to League 2 outfits keeping a close eye on Sutton Uniteds starlet Jack Taylor. EFL Analysis can exclusively reveal, which they got from their resident transfer expert Graham Bailey, that Taylor, who spent the first half of the season on loan at Hampton and Richmond, has caught the eye after being recalled and establishing himself in the first team at Sutton under Steve Morrison's guidance. Remember him? We understand Taylor has been attracting interest from the likes of Tottenham Hotspur, West Ham and Brentford, so now they've thrown even more names in there, who have all made their checks on the 20-year-old, while Championship sides Bristol City, Millwall and Portsmouth are also keen to checks. What does that mean? Checks. It means scouting. They've sent scouts to the games, and I don't know how it works. I don't know if you have to tell the club who you're scouting or what. I don't know how that works, but otherwise, how would they know? So there you go. Because if you don't know, what happens is the scout contact the home team, and they say, "Can we have a comp ticket? Because we want to scout some players." And then they say, "Yeah, sure. How many do you want?" And then they give them some comp tickets. and then it's a quid pro quo because you're supposed to do the same for that team if they want to come and watch any of your games. I believe that's how it works. So that's how they know that the scouts have been there. Obviously, if a scout wanted to do a little business, surreptitiously, they could always just buy a ticket and watch him, like that. But then why would you do that? Surely you want to know that they're interested, because then if you tell them that they're interested, they would have to think about selling this player and whether they would or would not and what the price would be. So you're putting that in their head. Meanwhile, Peterborough United, Cambridge United and NK Dons are among those from lower down in Football League who are potentially ready to make a move for the defender. So even more teams piled on. Interestingly, Cambridge United. Who's at Cambridge United? Obviously Neil Harris. Interestingly, also Peterborough United. What do Peterborough United do? They pluck players out of non-league and then turn quite a handy profit on them. So that's interesting. Taylor is heading into the final year of his current contract, and while National League side Sutton wants to tie him down with a new deal, it's thought that the lure of the professional game will be enough to tempt Taylor away this summer. So again, if Sutton can't extend his contract, then they will probably sell him. They don't have a lot of money. They've just released half their squad, so it means they might need to sell if they want to invest in the team. And then for some bizarre reason, they've got Jamie Vardy pictured, and then they start talking about Jamie Vardy, about how he came through non-league, and that's part of the same story. It's like, what is this website? What are they doing? It's insane. But yeah, so what's going on? So Jack Taylor, here we go. This is from SuttonUnited.net. It's Sutton United's official website. A tall defender who's impressed in the academy side and earned a place in the first team squad. He signed a professional contract at the end of February 2024 after successful loan spells at Burgess Hill and Hornchurch, before spending the first half of the 24-25 campaign on loan at Hampton and Richmond Borough. Okay, and then you scroll down. They've got a link to his Instagram. Squad number 16 is a defender. He joined on the 7th of July 2023. And he's been on loan 3 times. He's sponsored by Tifo XR, Global Mobile Software. And this is this season. 12 appearances in the National League, 1 substitute appearance, 1 yellow card. In the National League Cup, 1 appearance, 2 sub-appearances. Okay? So, interesting. Now, this is interesting. There's something to talk about here. Steve Morrison is the manager of Sutton United, yes? He was, before this season, last season, he was the manager of Hornchurch, yes? So he had this young lad on loan at Hornchurch, and you would imagine that, he must have been pretty happy with him, because he was there. So then Steve Morrison moves to Sutton United. This lad that he brought on loan at Hornchurch is one of the players there, but he decides to loan him out to Hampton and Richmond. Okay. But then later on in the season, when I think Sutton United are kind of struggling, maybe they've had injuries or what, he comes back and then he gets himself into the team. So that's interesting that Steve Morrison had him at Hornchurch, became the Sutton United manager, and then decided to loan him out. Again, but here's the thing. Interesting that he came through Sutton United's youth team. And this is a lot of the bigger non-league teams are doing this. They're getting grants and funding and stuff for education stuff and academies to develop their own players. And this is what they're doing now. Whereas before, the model would be, you would pick up players that got bombed out of league teams and whatnot. but they want to develop their own players, and he has come through Sutton United's academy. Depending where he got there, was of course would up their compensation demands. If he were to walk out on a free transfer, but obviously they're trying to cash in on him. It seems. So that's interesting. Now, so this season played 12 times in the league, right? If we go this to SuttonUnited.net, and they've got this stats page, and they have the whole squad, but when you search in the search bar, it just brings up the one player. So in his career, if you look on the left hand side, he's actually played 29 times in total for Sutton United. So 12 times this season, and then 17 previously. And he's scored 1 goal, but not this season, the before. So he's 20 years old, centre-backs. Interesting. So is there any validity on this? But, when I see this, and I see a whole list of teams, and Millwall is one of the teams in a whole long list, it doesn't mean anything to me. It's just rubbish. But then when you think, well, Steve Morrison's there, that may be a factor in terms of maybe him steering the lad to Millwall. Obviously we're close to Sutton United. I don't know if he's which kind of, obviously, would he be adverse to joining Millwall? Maybe, I don't know if he has affiliations to Crystal Palace. Sutton is down that way. But, if you want to be a professional footballer, and Mill's giving you the chance of a contract, surely you would take it. So there you go. It would fit the profile of what we're doing at the moment, a 20-year-old, but interesting that he hasn't played that much. Obviously, we got the stats here. There's 29 times he's played for Sutton United in his career, but we don't. Obviously, we know that he's played 12 times in the National League, but what were those other games before? What league were they in? The teams that he was at, Burgess Hill and Hornchurch. Hornchurch was, I think, at that time in the Isthmian Premier. So that's not a very high level. Although they did run away with the league. They did win the league quite handily. But then you've got Hampton and Richmond Borough, which is probably at the same level as Hornchurch in that Isthmian Premier. Maybe National League South. I'm not sure. But again, it's a big old jump, isn't it? But then you're thinking, well, unless we're buying him to develop in the under-21s, but he's already 20 years old apparently, unless they've got this wrong. If he's already 20 years old, you bring him in for the under-21s, for 1 season? How does that work? Because we have been playing 18-year-old at centre-back for the under-21s. So it's all very confusing and weird, but, this is going to be this is what's going to happen over the summer, websites like this. One of the ones that isn't that bad is Inside Football. They do sometimes get things right, but EFL Analysis and what was it, 72 and EFL World or whatever they're called, they're not the best. So yeah, that's the news for today. Literally, that's it. But the video's not over, because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to self-flagellate myself. Yes, exactly. What do I mean by that? Well. This is the Championship table in its final form for this season. The season that's just gone. Before this season, on Thursday the 8th of August, I undertook to predict what this would look like 9 months ago, and we are going to contrast and compare. And I've already had a little look at this, and I got it horrifically wrong. Now, in my defense, this is from youtube.com, the Daily Millwall channel. In my defense, look, I got it so wrong that I disliked the video myself. This was done on the 8th of August. At that time, we didn't have any players, which is why Neil Harris was moaning about Steve Gallen. Fair enough. We did get a few players in. We got even more players in January, and look what happened there. Even though half of them got injured straight away, we still had a right old goal at getting in the playoffs. This is what I did at the start of the season. Now, the transfer window didn't close until the 31st of August, 1st of September. There or thereabouts, and this was done 3 weeks before then. So that's my defence for why I got it so wrong. Now, I thought that Middlesbrough would win the league, and I put Leeds in second because I think it's just maybe a bit of anti-Leeds bias. I couldn't put them in top, but I did put them to finish second, so they did get promoted. But no, I put Burnley in fourth. Bizarrely, I put Sheffield Wednesday and Hull City to finish in the playoffs. I put Blackburn to be relegated, and I wasn't the only one. They're mad owners and stuff like that. I put Sunderland to finish, 7, 8, 9, 10th. Mill to finish 12th. And Sheffield United to finish 14th. Because they started out the season with -2 points because of their financial stuff from before, when they were in the league before. They had problems with the manager getting a new contract or something like that. He's throwing his toys out the pram. So I thought there might be a situation there where they would be the ones to struggle. Instead, Luton were the ones that were struggling, and they actually got relegated. Of the relegated teams, Burnley, Luton and Sheffield United, I had Luton to finish 9th, and they finished a lot worse than that. So I think, I looked at this before, I think the only team that I got right in terms of even in the right bracket, or I got 2 in the right bracket. Plymouth, obviously, to be relegated, I got that right. But they want 24 third, and I got Portsmouth in the right bracket because I had them to finish 15th. So madness. And we actually finished 8th. I had us finish 12th, which was actually quite generous compared to the other people, which we're going to look at in a minute. Some of the other predictions that were going around. West Brom, I had them way down, way down. Watford again way down, but QPR I thought would do a lot worse than that. Obviously they were down there, and then at the end of the season they come up and got away from it. Cardiff, had them down there. I thought they would get out of it. They didn't. Obviously Oxford were down there, and they put Gary Rowett in charge, and he got them out of there. Interesting stuff. Now Norwich obviously did have some decent goals, 2 decent goal scorers in their team, but couldn't get in the playoffs, which is part of the reason why their manager got fired. They ended up finishing 13th. They scored 71 goals. That's second highest in the league. Norwich in 13th. They've scored 71 goals, which is more than Burnley, and just less than Leeds. 71 goals, but they conceded 68 because they got George Long in goal. So what a shocker! Madness. If Liam Roberts is leaving, he could do worse than going to Norwich, to be fair. So what we're gonna do now, so you can see there, that's what I did. I got it completely wrong. Completely wrong. we're going to have a look at Betfair. And this is from the 9th of August, on the day of the first game, on the Friday. And this is what they've done. Leeds to win, they got that right. Luton second, no. Burnley to finish third. These are actually the predictions, not the odds. Because obviously, you can see their Leeds are 3-1, Burnley are 6-1. So if it was listed by odds, no, this is actually predictions. Burnley to finish third. Coventry fourth, Middlesbrough fifth. So they got two of the playoff teams correct. Norwich 6, again, a lot of people bigging up Norwich. Did not happen. So you do wonder if those goal scorers will be leaving this summer. Sheffield United 7th, again, they thought that they would struggle. West Brom 8th, which was that the situation? All close. They actually finished 9th. Bristol City 9th, Sunderland 10th, so they thought Sunderland would struggle, obviously the Tony Mowbray stuff, etc. Stoke in 11th, Sheffield Wednesday 12th, Swansea 13th, QPR 14th, which was right now, well, nearly. So yeah, nearly. Hull in 15th, Millwall in 16th. So at this time, our big signing was Macaulay Langstaff. That was it. That was all. We've got Macaulay Langstaff. Wow. And then everyone thought we were going to finish in the bottom half of the table, which we probably were going to be, until, Steve Gallen got his finger out. Preston 17th, Portsmouth 18th, Cardiff 19th, Watford 20th. Where did they actually finish? Watford. Where are they? 14th. Blackburn 21st, Derby 22nd, Oxford 23rd, Plymouth 24th. So again, they thought Oxford were going to go down. And again, if they didn't fire their manager and bring Gary Rat in, they may very well have. They ended up finished 17th. They did leave it late. I think they couldn't. I think they secured safety with a game to go, which was pretty good for them. But I mean, now going into next season, they are one of the smallest teams in the league. They don't even they got problems with the ground, trying to get a new ground, and nobody wants to give it to them. Their current ground's only got 3 sides. They are now one of the smallest teams in the league. You've got Birmingham coming up. You've got Wrexham coming up. You may have Charlton coming up, or Stockport. It ain't going to be easy next season, so that will be interesting. So yeah, that's what they had. Obviously, Plymouth did go down. I think everyone knew that was going to happen, but they gave themselves a chance after they got rid of old Fatty Rooney, after the state that he left them in. You hear the stories of what was going on off the pitch down there. Just insane. And apparently there's still people trying to, linking him with more manager jobs. Are you mad? So now let's have a look at this. Opta Analyst. So this is the analyst.com. The old supercomputer. I don't think a supercomputer really exists. I think they do this on Football Manager, I think. So what they've done here is they have stimulated the league 10,000 times, apparently. That's what they tell us. And this is so basically, when you do that, you simulate it will be slightly different each time, but it's called, I think it's based on a concept called the wisdom of crowds, in that there's a thing. If you get a jar of jelly beans and you ask 100 people how many jelly beans you think are in this jar, there's going to be some really stupid answers, but some are going to be on the money. And I think the theory is, if you take the largest guess and the smallest guess, and you plot the mean between the two, that somehow works out as the answer quite often, which is left a lot of people baffled. Like, that's kind of weird. But it seems to work. So yeah, based on the wisdom of crowds, if you stimulate a season 10,000 times and a certain answer keeps coming up, what does that mean? So this is what they predicted was going to be. They did this on the 2nd of August, and this is what they predicted the final thing was going to be. So again, bizarrely, they've had Sunderland finish in 22nd, 21st. They've got Millwall finishing 14th. What else is weird? Again, they thought Middlesbrough were going to do well. So they thought Middlesbrough were going to finish 2nd. They got West Brom in 4th, Luton in 5th, Norwich in 6th, and Coventry in 7th. So all of these numbers on the other side here, what this is. So if you go to Leeds and you go along and you look at the one there, it says 45.0. That means that every time they simulated the division, 45% of the times that simulation had Leeds number 1, and that's what that means. So then you go to 2nd and 3rd and 4th, and these are the percentages where the simulation had them finishing. Each simulation, so 7.2% of the simulations had Leeds finishing 4th, and then they kind of worked out based on that where they thought the actual things was going to finish, and they got us finishing 14th. But if you go along, there's a weird variety of we're about 5% to finish 20th or 19th or 18th or 17th, going all the way up to like 11th. So Millwall were 5%. 5% of the time we finished 11th, 5% we finished 12th, 13, 5% we finished 13th, etc., etc., going all the way to. So we were literally a wide variety. So then they averaged that out to 14th place. And the simulation had us where we actually finished, which I remind myself was 8th. The simulation had us finishing 8th. What's that? 4.2% of the times. So there you go. But again, they predicted Sheffield United wouldn't be doing that well, They thought they were going to finish 9th. They thought Hull were going to finish 8th. So, kind of as batshit crazy as my predictions were to some extent, but not quite. They did predict Cardiff to finish bottom, Plymouth to get relegated. So they got 2 of the relegation teams correct. Cardiff did finish bottom, and Plymouth did finish, second bottom, which is correct. So they did get that right. They did have one team massively, shockingly, so far down, but they said Sunderland, and it was actually Luton. So they had Sunderland finishing 21st, which is kind of weird, but man. So I think maybe for this kind of thing, what they get right is the teams at the very top and the teams at the very bottom. But it's kind of hard to quantify in the middle, because if you look at Millwall, we're literally 4% to finish 8th or 9th or 10th, and then 5% to finish 11th or 12th or 13th or 14th. So it's kind of hard where do you move the slider? Doesn't really make sense. Like, we're 5% to finish it anywhere from 8th to bottom. So I think this only really gets it right when you go into the higher numbers, where you got Leeds at 45% to finish number 1, or Cardiff at 23% to finish rock bottom. And they got it right. Those are right. So you got the bottom 2 right, and they got the top 1 right. Didn't get Burnley right, but not far behind. Actually, if you look at the raw number, it did have Burnley 10.7% to finish second, which is quite high, and the only team higher than that was Middlesbrough, which is why a lot of people thinking, Carrick couldn't get the old tin tag, because he should have done a lot better than he did. And again, he's one of these former Man United players that have gone into management. It's not really working out for them, is it? You had Rooney, you had the Neville, both of them fucking shit. Who else is there? It's not really working out for them. But there you go. What else have we got? So there's that. I'm going to finish 90 minutes. You know the magazine 90 Minutes? Yeah, them. So this is their selections. This is last August, as mentioned. We're going to finish with this. So this was their predictions. As we scroll down, they've got that, and then they listed this full team. Yeah, clearly. They do have the table somewhere, don't they? Where is it? Oh, here we go. So they had Luton Town finishing second, which I couldn't see that at the time, and I don't know how they decided that. Leeds won it. They did win it. They picked Coventry and Middlesbrough in the playoffs. That was right as well. But again, they went for Norwich to finish 6th. Norwich massively underperformed. Again, but they're the top scorers, the second top scorers in the league. But they shipped so many goals. What else have we got? Burnley finishing 5th. Bristol City 7th, so they thought Bristol City were going to do quite well, but not as well as they actually did. Again, they thought Sheffield United were going to struggle. They thought West Brom were going to struggle. They had Sunderland to struggle. Again, I'm not the only one. Sheffield Wednesday 11th, QPR 12th, which kind of high for them. Stoke, Swansea, they had Millwall finishing 15th, which I'm sure a lot of us at the start of the season would have taken. Portsmouth 16th, Hull 17th, Cardiff 18th, and they had relegated teams. They thought Blackburn were going to struggle, and they didn't. But that's what I went for as well. They did have Preston to struggle, which I thought Preston are the perennial middle of the table team. They actually finished 20th. I had them finishing 7th. I had them just missing out on playoffs. Wasn't to be. They had them finishing 20th, which is not bad. And they did get Plymouth to be relegated, so they did get that right. So they got Plymouth right, and they got Leeds right, and they got Middlesbrough and Coventry in the playoffs right. Which is more than I got, but there you go. So, on that note, thank you for watching. Let's hope there's some news tomorrow. Good news, not bad news, good news. And thank you for watching. Bye-bye.